Welcome to the SMCC June webinar, How Live Entertainment Will Return Stronger Than Ever. We have an exciting lineup, and I'd like to thank my SMCC colleagues who helped make today possible. Norm O'Reilly, Howard Lickman, Jake Burzin, Boyana Sparavallo, and Sean Ishmael. We are streaming live on YouTube for today's webinar. If you have any questions for the panelists or require tech support, please reach out in the public chat on the right side of the video screen. You can also email your questions to laura@sponsorshipmarketing.ca. And a reminder, we have networking breakout rooms after the main event. A link would have been emailed to those who have registered, and you will also be posted in the YouTube chat. Upcoming, our July Summer Social is coming up, and please stay tuned for more details and an invitation to register in the coming weeks. Registration is now open for the SMCC Vancouver webinar, June 24th. This webinar fits nicely with today's content and will focus on evolving festival sponsorship and marketing. Visit the SMCC website for more details. Our foundational partner spotlight is Live Nation. Live Nation Entertainment is the world's leading live entertainment company comprised of global market leaders Ticketmaster, Live Nation Concerts, and Live Nation Sponsorship. Live Nation Canada, with a 90% market share, produces 2,000 events a year across the country, providing brands with curated access to the entire music landscape, including concerts and festivals, proprietary events, hosting and hospitality, and access to artists and in-market promotions such as the Monster Energy Under the Tab program. Now in its third year, winning a gold award in last year's SMCC Awards, the program gives consumers a chance to win upwards of $150,000 worth of music merchandise and concert tickets. Leveraging Live Nation IP on 50 million cans nationally, this program continues to grow year over year, and in 2020 saw half a million tabs redeemed, 11% lift in sales, and over 60,000 consumers added to Monster Energy's database. A great testament to the power of music during a time when the live entertainment industry was on pause. In 2021, the program will increase the number of branded cans in market and increase marketing awareness through organic and paid social media, such as curated TikTok content, to further align with and engage the younger demographic of consumer Monster Energy is looking to attract. I would now like to introduce Christina Raheja, co-chair of the 2021 SMA Committee, with a Sponsorship Marketing Award update. Christina.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, James. The Sponsorship Marketing Awards are coming up, and we will be launching registration in the coming weeks. Details are going to be sent out via email, so ensure you have the date saved in your calendar, September 23rd from 3 to 5 p.m. Case submission deadline is July 15th, as you see here, so 1 month away. Time to start thinking about the great programs you'd like to submit. There are many categories, and we definitely encourage you and your companies to submit. And please note there are 2 new categories this year. Please reach out to events@sponsorshipmarketing.ca or any of the 2021 Sponsorship Marketing Awards Committee regarding joining our great roster of event partners, or if you have any general questions. Thanks, and enjoy today's programming, and over to Norm.
Thank you, James, and for the introduction. I just dropped on internet there for a second, so hopefully that's okay. So what my job is with MarketWatch today is to really look at where does entertainment, i.e. music sponsorship, fit within in the landscape. And when our team kind of endeavored to build on this topic, which we haven't done enough, quite honestly, at an SMCC level over the years. So what data is kind of out there? And so we do have the Canadian Sponsorship Landscape Study, and we went back and had a look at some of the data. And then our friends at IMI gave us a couple of more recent studies to kind of populate that. So Laura, if you go to the next one, please. What I'm really going to show today in the next couple of minutes is very quickly two things. One is our investment in entertainment sponsorship in our country has been very low, but there's tons of potential. And then our panelists and our real experts on this topic will get into that in a little bit. So next one, please. Just to remind you about the landscape study, it's something we've been doing, and SMCC is a partner for now in its 15th year. And just to find out, and it's not perfect data, but gives us a bit of a gauge on what's happening with sponsorship in Canada from the perspectives of sponsors, brands, and agencies. And we're up close to 4,500 total organizational responses over time. Next one, please, Laura. And as you know, you probably recall, this is pre-COVID. We're right now in field, and I'll ask for your input shortly on that, on the 2020 data. But up to pre-COVID, sponsorship was doing very well, and it was a $3 billion industry in our country. Next one, please. So how much is it invested in entertainment properties? Flip to the next one. So this is this ugly slide that a lot of you have been accustomed to seeing. And we don't usually show entertainment. So if you look at kind of the thin purple line near the bottom, we've kind of layered entertainment because we don't usually show the smaller categories over time. And you can see it's very, very much smaller than any of the other major categories pro sport. And if you go to the next one, you'll see how we draw it out. And so this is the percentage of sponsorship investment in entertainment, tours, and attractions is the official category that we use. And that works out to a number of about 140 million. Obviously, there's a margin of error here, is spent on entertainment sponsorship each year in 2019. And we know that's going to go down in 2020 and 2021. But as I'm going to show in a second, if you go to the next one, there's lots of potential for the future. So one other thing we want to look at is, and we ask in the landscape study, is what's your largest sponsorship investment? So Canadian brands tell us, what do they spend the most on? And Laura, if you flip to this one, you'll see entertainment, music sponsorship is very rare. So usually it's zero. We had a couple of responses you can see there, 2010, 11, 12, maybe a rise of music. That was the high tech, we're not sure. But generally speaking, it's far from what we see in pro, amateur, festivals, those areas in terms of the largest sponsorship investment. So again, more potential. So next one, please. And so we're looking at this next one. And so the potential coming out of COVID. So one thing that's really come across in the study, and this is again is a very tricky slide to look at, but when brands tell us what they get their most ROI from, we hear the same from properties and agencies from sponsorship, this notion of branded content. So you all know these examples. We're going to see some great ones today when a brand is really highly integrated in some activation with a property, and their agencies are really amplifying it. That's what really works. And music, as we know, is a great venue for that to happen. Next one, please. Another one we talk about specific to entertainment is when we look at the same branded content, another slide, sorry, is that from all three perspectives. So we hear from brands and from properties and from agencies that this is an area of serious potential, certainly emerging from COVID, for music properties. Next one, please. So I'm just going to ask you to, if you have a second, make note of this. I think a lot of you know it. All the results are freely shared. We're now collecting on the 2020 data. So if you're an agency, brand, or property, or your boss would respond, that would be wonderful. And then we share it, as you all know, widely with the industry. So two last things I'm going to say before I pass it over to James and our panel. And this is from our friends at IMI, because we knew that, so the historical landscape study shows those two things. Entertainment, music has been largely underinvested in, but there's lots of potential. Now we're in this virtual, coming out of it, obviously hybrid, changed world. We're all excited to see what's going to look like. Music really has a role, and Canadians and Americans, this is dual data from IMI, have music ranked very, very high in terms of their virtual participation in properties. And flip to the next one, please. And if when you rank it overall and what people want to do and spend their time in, right next to professional sport, we see music and far outreaching a large number of other properties that are going to rely more on a return to a traditional environment. And there's a real opportunity for music, we feel, in this hybrid virtual world. Thank you very much. And hopefully that gives you a little bit of a landscape on what we're thinking about with music and entertainment and sponsorship.
Thank you so much, Norm, for the insights. A copy of this presentation will be made available on the SMCC website later today. And now, what better way to kick things off than with some entertainment? So please put your virtual hands together for Toronto native Jesse Gold.
Hey everybody, my name is Jesse Gold. It's awesome to be here. Thank you so much, Live Nation, for having me. And shout out to SMCC. It's very cool to be a part of a forum, especially one about entertainment. So that's what I'm going to do here for you guys today. I just released a brand new EP. It's called Stupid Hours. It's available everywhere now. And if it's okay with you, I thought I would play a song off that EP. So if it is, let me hear you say, yeah. Wow, amazing. Okay, this is 1 in a million, and I hope you enjoy. I've been thinking about you again, yeah. Secret, just for me and my friends. I didn't want to tell you 'cause I knew that it would go to your head. But now I've got this drink in my hands. I take another sip and say, you're 1 in a million. You give me that feeling. I want it all day, baby. And I know that we're different, but it makes no difference. I think you should stay, yeah. Alright. Why don't we dance? You look so good when I'm faded. I'll give you a chance. Let you be my new favorite, yeah. Get everybody talking about us. No more playing tough. Now I think enough. So why don't we dance so I can finally say how I feel. I take another sip and say you're 1 in a million. You give me that feeling. I want it all day, baby. And I know that we're different, but it makes no difference. I think you should stay. Yes, I do, baby. Everything about us is nice, yeah. And everything about it is right. We're sweet like sugar and spice, baby. Oh, everything about us is nice. Oh, and everything about us feels right. We're sweet like sugar and spice. You're 1 in a million. You give me that feeling. I want it all day, baby, baby. And well, I know that we're different, but it makes no difference. Yeah, I think you should stay. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate it. I hope you go listen to the album and have a great day.
Thank you, Jesse. With that, let's dive into how live entertainment will return stronger than ever. We have an amazing panel today, moderated by the digital host of Live Nation Canada, Shreya Khanna. From interviews with artists to behind-the-scenes social content, Shreya has brought a new perspective to concert fans while simultaneously growing Live Nation Canada's social media presence. She also hosts, shoots, and edits content for a variety of Live Nation partners, including American Express, RBC, and Clinique. Welcome, Shreya, and thank you for moderating today's panel.
Oh, I'm on mute. Great. Okay. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I think we can all agree that there's a real palpable energy across the country right now. You know, whether it's Vaxxed and Waxed or Shot Girl Summer, I think we can see across social media that people are ready for the entertainment industry to start opening its doors back up. I'm really excited personally to introduce these panelists. It's a real roundup of industry talent, so it's going to make for some great conversation and tangible learning. So we're going to kick things off with Mike D'Agostini, who's the Senior Director of Marketing at Budweiser and Bud Light Canada. Mike is a passionate marketer with over 10 years of experience working in a variety of roles at Labatt. He now leads two of Labatt's biggest brands, Budweiser and Bud Light, which have deployed some pretty breakthrough campaigns over the past few years. Of course, we can't even start to talk about entertainment in Toronto without talking about Budweiser Stage, which transitioned to Bud Stage at Home last summer. Bud Stage at Home has a reach of 1.72 million on City TV and became the top trending topic on Twitter each night it aired. So it will be great to get some of his insights here. Next up, we have Phil Bouffard, who's the Managing Director at Pack-In Partnerships. Phil has worked with some of the biggest entertainment brands in the country, including the Toronto Maple Leafs, Toronto Raptors, the NBA, and Live Nation. He's now launched a partnerships division at Pack-In Entertainment Group, which covers everything from artist management to special interactive experiences, including the Van Gogh exhibit, which I hope some of you got to check out this summer because it was incredible. He also has some exciting news he's going to be sharing that I'm not going to spoil. Next up, and our last but not least, we've got Sam Alpert, who's the Senior Vice President of Marketing at Wasserman Music. Sam and his team have executed successful tour marketing campaigns for top talent, including Tame Impala, David Guetta, and the 1975, just to name a few. He was also named on Variety's prestigious New Leaders list in 2020. Obviously, when the pandemic hit and tours were halted, the industry switched gears to a live stream concert experience, and Sam really led the initiative to build a live streaming division within Wasserman. I'm pretty sure a lot of us tuned in to these live streams over the past year, so it will be really great to get his perspective on insight and pivoting to this format from an artist's perspective. So we're going to kick things off with a video from Mike.
COVID-19 brought the sports and music industry to a screeching halt, leaving Canadians with very few entertainment options. As a brand rooted in the passion points of music and sports, we had an opportunity to unite Canadians each and every Saturday night during the summer of 2020. To most Canadians, the Budweiser Stage, Canada's premier music venue, signifies a happy place, listening to the planet's biggest acts while drinking an ice-cold beer. So what did we do about it? Budweiser Stage at Home sought out to bring that feeling to Canadian living rooms with a 1-hour special for 8 consecutive Saturday nights, typically when many would otherwise gather to watch the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. Leveraging our partnership with Rogers, we used the Saturday night hockey time slot to bring live performances from artists that would have played the Budweiser Stage that summer. We worked with Live Nation to co-produce and pre-promote the special, and worked with Twitter on a live in-broadcast Twitter stream feature that made Canadians feel like they were enjoying the show with friends. COVID may have prevented us from opening the gates, but we found a way to bring that feeling home to Canadians across the country. Bud Stage at Home was the #2 rated show on Saturday nights across Canada during the 8 weeks it aired. It was trending #1 on Twitter every Saturday night as fans interacted with the live Twitter feed. We achieved over 19 million weekly impressions. Our earned impressions was up 184% versus same period last year. And our media return on investment achieved $1.25. Budweiser purchase intent was up 67%, and our brand favorability was up 41%. Most importantly, Budweiser accomplished what it set out to do: connect Canadians across the country over a beer every Saturday night.
Thanks, Shreya, and hello, everyone. Thanks for having me on the panel. I wanted to kind of talk about a couple things in live entertainment, and I think Norm said it great and set it up for us at the beginning. I'm talking about why brands and companies in Canada may not invest in live entertainment as much as some other things like sports. And I'll give my humble opinion on maybe a couple reasons on why that might be. First and foremost, I think unlike sports, for us as brands, it's not as clear the blueprint on how to bring live entertainment to life outside of the venue. When you think of a sports team, it's fabric in the community. It's very clear how we could bring our activations as a beer company, for example, to life in retail stores or bars and restaurants around the community by tapping into the affinity and passion point that the team brings. When it comes to live entertainment, there's nothing better than a live show, but it oftentimes is difficult to think about how to bring that live feeling and experience to life outside the venue. That's why when we brought to life this idea of Bud Stage at Home, what we were really trying to do was take the experience and that feeling of watching a show at Budweiser Stage and bring it to people's living rooms. So I believe that as we get into more of a hybrid environment and hybrid model, this idea of going beyond the four walls of the venue or the music venue, we can bring that experience to more people and Canadians across the country. The second way is really around the affinity that I believe is associated with the team. So take the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Vancouver Canucks, etc. It's more of an affinity to the team and the institution versus the athletes themselves, the players. Different than music, where it's more of an affinity that you have directly with the artist. As a result, you can continually activate the same team over and over, despite the players that are on the team. And I think I see the live entertainment industry also pivoting to more partnership and more opportunities working directly with brands, launching products. We have a Cacti in the US that is launching with Travis Scott, countless others across the country where we're actually partnering directly with artists in the live space to bring products to life on a direct one-to-one partnership basis. So I believe, from my perspective, those are the two things that will continue to change. The hybrid model will allow us to go beyond the four walls and more of the one-to-one relationship between brands and artists, where we can bring products and experiences to life directly. Thank you for the time today.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm Phil Bouffard from Paquet Entertainment Group, running the Paquet Partnerships team. That was an awesome intro, Mike, and I think from here we're going to take it in a bit of a different route, taking a look at properties. Before I dig in, I wanted to give you a bit of context in terms of who we are and what we do. So if you want to flip to the next slide. So Paquet Entertainment Group has been around for about 35 plus years, really rooted in artist management. As an artist agency, we do a lot in theater and film and live events. And luckily, pre-pandemic, we actually launched a significant exhibit company called Beyond Exhibitions. We're working with Avengers out of Yorkdale Mall. And we've launched two immersive art exhibits that we're going to be talking about today, both Beyond Van Gogh and soon to be Beyond Monet, coming to Toronto in August. If you want to flip to the next slide, we recently launched a partnerships division this past January. Although we are new as a division of Paquet, our experience and our background is really rooted in live entertainment, connecting blue chip brands with amazing entertainment opportunities, finding ways to uniquely integrate the fan into that moment and enhancing the experience for all three parties within that mold. We work on proven models from working with some of the largest entertainment companies in the world. So before we jump into the question number one, would love to show a video to you guys. This is really the first time it's being announced. Paquet Entertainment Group and Paquet Partnerships is really excited to be working with a new client. I'll let the video do the talking, but we're so excited to be getting back to a somewhat of a normal state. And we're so excited to bring this news to this forum for the first time.
To you, to me and us, all ready for a new start. For when it's dark, there's always light. Where sadness reigns, we conquer it with a smile. To the brave ones, the ones that stood the test of time, the ones who fly high, going down, just to come back up, always holding your hand. Stand tall and be proud. You will conquer all. Be amazing. Be yourself. Say it once and 1,000 times. The sun rises.
So, as you can guess, Paquet Entertainment Group and Paquet Partnerships is now the agency of record for Cirque du Soleil in Canada. We're working on some amazing opportunities, and we're so excited to share some insights today on what Cirque is doing to pivot with this reimagination of what the new world will bring and, their live entertainment platform. So first up, we were posed with the question of what are some of the changes that will endure beyond COVID? If you go to the next slide, partnership importance is one that has come up a lot when dealing with properties, when dealing with clients. They're really starting to see the role that partnerships play within their entire business ecosystem. When we think about Cirque du Soleil, as an example, ticketing, marketing, F&B, touring, on-site operations, the entire ecosystem where partnerships can live touches almost every single touch point within those business units. And if partnerships has a more significant stake at the table, then it can really play a significant role across all of those divisions. So you'll see partnerships really being at the heads of a lot of these conversations, trying to make it as impactful as possible by leveraging a true partnership with some of these really amazing brands that can help move the needle across all those business units. In terms of a format change, this is an image of our Beyond Van Gogh exhibit. And what's really impressive here is that it's almost like a completely new business model, and not in the way that museums had to flow through traffic, but in the way that the immersive exhibits have gone to market is really impressive because of your allotted time slots and your kind of flow through process. I think a lot of properties are going to need to look at different formats based on capacity, based on run-of schedules. Are there less shows for a higher price point? What is that flow through, and how can you expand your footprint to limit those capacities within certain areas? And in terms of the immersive exhibits, I think that is why they are absolutely exploding on a global scale. And you're going to see a lot more of this coming to life over many, many years, and it will survive well beyond the pandemic. Live and digital, we've already talked about it a bunch. Nothing beats live. We all know that. But I think there's a place to really open up the doors, cross borders, allow more people to witness these amazing events through a digital screen. We're all very adapted to it now. And I think that consumer behavior opens the doors for a lot of opportunities for a brand to engage throughout the consumer process, from the time they purchase the tickets till after the event. There's a lot of ways to open up that digital window and allow them to see more as we take a look behind the scenes, because I think that's what everyone wants to see is that magic behind the curtains. And this digital screen environment that we've created is the perfect opportunity to do so. And lastly, under question number one is a charitable tie-in. This is nothing new, but it's just so much more important now in dealing with brands throughout the pandemic, especially in the heart of it. It felt immoral to do anything that didn't have a massive contribution to a charitable cause, some kind of philanthropic initiative. And this isn't going to end. There's going to be so many ripple effects. We all know it. So how are we putting the charitable focus on our partnerships first and really making an impact so that we can continue to drive that initiative and create a change within our partnerships and our organization. Second question, I'll hurry through. So how will these changes enable brands and consumers and fans better enhance the result for a sponsor? First up is a no-brainer, access. If you want to flip to the next slide. There's going to be more demand. No, sorry, back one. There's going to be more demand. The price points are going to go up because of that demand. Brands can really hold back that inventory and make sure that they're providing access to their customers, creating special and unique experiences for those consumers. Next up, in terms of engagement, the propensity for a fan to completely lose themselves in an event is going to be through the roof. People are looking for an escape. So how are brands finding unique ways to engage with consumers? Because that captive audience, it was captive before COVID, now it's absolutely through the roof. So there's a really unique opportunity here to create that lasting relationship between the consumer and the brand. And finally, enrichment, and this goes back to my charitable tie-in. People are looking to do good with their time and money. They know that if they're making a difference, it's going to further enhance the overall experience and that relationship with the brand and the property. So how do we make every single fan feel like this guy on the bike? Like that joy, I think, only comes when you've created an enriching experience that has an end result of being good and giving back. And that's really it from me. I think there's a ton to learn here and there's a ton of opportunity. I'm so excited to get back to a semi-normal world.
All right. Hey, everyone. Thank you for having me. Sam Alpert here. I was brought on to kind of really speak on the artist perspective of live streaming. So, now that the world is in a position of recovery, and you have to excuse me, pardon the pun from the slide, there is light at the end of the tunnel. There's a big debate within the artist space that I've seen is whether live streaming is dead or not, right? Certainly in the middle of the pandemic, live streaming was very much the focus, but in the past couple months, in the artist space and especially in the live agency space, the shift has gone back to hard ticket touring, right? But on the flip side, it would be certainly naive to not recognize that audiences have expanded their live music consumption, especially over the last year. And there are opportunities in the live streaming space, many brought up by the previous speakers, for our clients. That is to further engage their core audiences, expand their reach of new audiences, create new forms of art performances, and engage in new technologies to deliver different experiences to their fans. It's important to remember, and I think very obvious to probably the audience, that the experience of live streams is completely different than that of the physical world. But if an artist is able to embrace that and deliver a great live streaming experience to fans, it only adds gasoline to their engine to monetize their albums, their tours, merchandise, and more. Next slide, please. So why artists have turned to live stream? And here are four buckets that we really kind of look at. I think first things first, artist promotion. Depending on the platform, it can create a new marketing tent post that if timed properly, you can converge the impressions in an artist campaign for all music partners. Again, that's promotion of the new single album, tour, merch, and so forth. Reaching a broader audience. I think you see with platforms like Twitch, like YouTube, like we're on now, those are mass platforms where you're able to reach audiences that may never have ever heard of the audience, or there's obviously they're free, so there's a low barrier to entry, so you're able to really kind of broaden that, right? And then obviously, and then what we're also seeing is the development of the digital ticket. And I think where that is, where you have a hard ticket tour, and whether the artist streams every show or they pick one show out of the tour. Obviously, that's to bring it back home. You're hitting fans that may not be in a specific tour market, may not be able to take the time to actually go to the show because of babysitting duties or costs or whatever it may be. And then also the fans that have seen the show and want to relive it again in a virtual space. Creative performance formats. This is actually my favorite. And why this is my favorite is that going back to the point of live streaming is a different experience. There are a couple different ways to look at this. I think there are opportunities where there's new tech that's out there. So there are different virtual experiences that would never be able to be experienced in a physical setting. I think really good examples here are Billie Eilish and Dua Lipa, if any of you guys saw those streams. Those were almost interactive music videos that were live. Totally different kind of experience. It's also developed a new form of art for an artist. I call it the new music video. And then there are also opportunities for artists that may create a show that they may never be able to tour. I think a really good example of this is if there's any Fish fans in the crowd, Trey Anastasio, did a series where he performed with an orchestra. Getting an orchestra on tour on a 30-day tour is very, very expensive, but he was able to use the virtual experience to show that and provide a new form of art and a new versions of his songs to an audience. And then substitute for physical performances. Where this kind of comes in is that obviously if an artist is off cycle and they want to perform live, that certainly makes sense. I worked very closely with Van Morrison, and one of the discussions that I had with his team was Van didn't want to tour anymore, and obviously, so this with live streaming kind of crossing over to more and more audiences, I see this as an opportunity. Maybe Van does it or not, but for artists like that may not want to tour, to further explore the virtual space and continue to be relevant in that, and provide income. Next slide, please. So really quickly, when I meet with an artist team, I ask these basic questions, and these are the goals, capabilities, and why. So what are your specific goals of doing a live stream? Are you trying to reach as many people as possible? Do you have a specific concept in mind? Do you want to do a pay-per-view show? What exactly do you want to do? And through those goals, we're able to help them pick a platform. Do you want to monetize? What are the mechanisms you want to use to monetize? In the beginning, early stages of live streaming, during the pandemic, and obviously streaming existed before that, a lot of artists weren't comfortable with monetizing, but they were comfortable with doing it for a charity, as mentioned before, or tipping function. And then other artists, and obviously that's more and more people are starting to charge for it, but it's a very important question to ask, especially when picking a platform. The third thing is, how do you want to engage with your audience, or do you want to engage with your audience? Different platforms, as you guys have seen, have different ways for audiences for the artists to engage with their audience, whether it's a Zoom function, whether it's something similar to what we're experiencing here, whether it's chat. Obviously, there are other opportunities with doing digital VIPs where you can do meet and greets and so forth. So that really kind of helps pick a platform from there, and the capabilities of what we're able to do once we kind of nail that down with the artist. And then last but not least, this is more of a marketing thing, but obviously very relevant to this, is data. Is data capturing a priority? Obviously, you're reaching all of these different audiences. You want to get that information. You want to be able to retarget those people. You want to be able to inform them with new tour dates or merch or so forth, or some kind of activation. So that is certainly something that we'll be able to put in different kind of mechanisms and help them pick a platform from there. Next slide, please. Okay, so really quickly, this is just a quick case study. We did going through those questions, we found a lot of our artists were looking for streaming opportunities where they just wanted to reach a mass audience, where they wanted to promote their tours, right? So we partnered with the UK office, and we created a series called There Is Light, exclusively on Twitch. And essentially what this did is it allowed us to provide turnkey opportunities on a mass platform with no barrier of entry to artists, for them to promote their new music and so forth. Through our relationship with Twitch, we're able to pay our artists for these opportunities. We also wanted to create a branded IP within Twitch to further extend after our series is complete, to do big one-off shows, do sponsorship activations. And then finally, we wanted to hopefully cross over this There Is Light IP and convert it into a hard ticket touring entity, where we put in 4 of our developing clients. Audiences are familiar with the There Is Light brand, and we can tour on that. Next slide, please. And last but not least, why sponsor artist-led live streams? Look, I think first things first, when you're doing an artist-led live stream, there's authenticity with it. And I think, fans are not stupid. They know when the artist is really into it. They know when it's a reflection of their art. So if there is an opportunity to do that, I think the connection with a brand and their audience through one of these, you can't beat that. Unlocking unique experiences, that kind of goes into the leveraging of new technologies. That's leveraging different ways of integrating engaging with the audience. There are a lot of different opportunities within live streaming that you just can't have in physical touring through tech. And then extending a brand's reach beyond the venue. Pretty self-explanatory. I think we all know that in sponsoring a tour, you're just limited to the localized marketing. With live streams, you're able to expand that reach globally. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Sam. We are going to jump into the Q&A portion of the panel. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to kind of put them into that live stream and we will get them through on our end. But just to kick things off, we're going to have a question for Mike. So the Budweiser Stage at Home concept obviously was a huge success. It took a venue that is so infamous and near and dear to everyone living in Toronto and was basically able to capture that experience to people across the country. As a venue sponsor, how were you able to capture value in that format?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, the obvious is that our name is on the building. So by calling it and associating ourselves through the title partner of the live stream, that was a big part of it. The other way is we brought it to life beyond just the show itself, right? So you had the show itself that aired on Rogers. We wanted to make it interactive and to bring it to life. So a big part of that was through Twitter. So we brought conversation, a kind of dual media, bringing it to life and talking about it within the broadcast, tying back to having people feel like they're watching with other people, right? Because everyone's at home. So Twitter partnership helped that. And then lastly was co-branding and bringing it to life with obviously Live Nation and the Budweiser Canada channel, but also the Budweiser channel bringing promotion of the event on our channels. So we were able to talk a lot about every Saturday night. We would lead up to it and talk a lot about it and get the association with the actual show itself. So I think that's how we were. Rather than just a name of the actual event, it was something that became part of a campaign that we brought to life pretty much all summer long.
Do you see kind of wanting to do some sort of hybrid with that concept, obviously, as soon as hopefully that venue opens up again?
Yeah, we have always been a big proponent, and I saw it on Sam's the last point he just hit, the idea of going beyond the four walls. I think even on the artist side, there's a lot of value there. Truthfully, there's just some things that get in the way of bringing that to life, because there's music rights, artist rights, venue rights. There's a lot of things that get in the way, but as a brand sponsor, it's absolutely something that we want to do, right? How do we bring, there's only 15,000 people that can get into Budweiser Stage. How do we bring that concert, that experience to so many people outside of that? So for sure, it's a goal of ours, and hopefully we can figure out how to bring that to life.
Awesome. Phil, as we start to open up, what, in your opinion, can sponsors and properties do to make consumers feel more comfortable in this new world?
It's a great question. I think a lot has to do with the way that we're approaching the entire live event scenario. So I know in the US, they're coming up with a lot of different technology, whether it's walk-through scanners, checking temperatures, rapid COVID testing. I think what's really in our benefit is we're now seeing the vaccine rollout going extremely efficiently. So I think from an event planning perspective, is there a footprint that we can expand beyond? Maybe we're dealing with, the same type of capacity, but is there a way to roll in different amounts of crowds at the same time? Talking about Budweiser Stage, a place that I used to work for years, and there's that, kind of bridge that everyone bottlenecks at. If we're looking at that type of scenario, what are the ways that we can welcome people in and welcome people out in different tranches? I know with Cirque du Soleil, we're actually talking about creating an amazing kind of post-show environment where fans can go and actually enjoy a cocktail or some kind of F&B offering post-event, so you don't have 2,500 people rushing out of our big tops. So how do we elongate the experience? How do we spread people out across a larger footprint? And how do we kind of time the consumer flow in a more efficient manner to avoid those bottlenecks and everyone jamming together? Because I think that's where a lot of the anxiety and the stress will come from a fan standpoint.
For sure. Question for Sam. What were kind of some of the biggest challenges in getting artists and sponsors specifically to feel comfortable with live streaming? Because I'm sure some were super down to do it, and then others, there probably some hesitation.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think, I worked on the Billie Eilish stream, right? And Billie had a very specific concept for her, for the overall live stream. And what she wanted to do is she wanted to almost look like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen her music videos, right? Like she wanted it to make a live music video. And it was very, very important. but it wasn't cheap, right? And I think she ended up putting $2.5 million into the production. So we certainly needed to bring in some different kind of sponsors. I think the challenge on the artist side is understanding the goals of what a potential brand wants to bring in, what kind of interaction, and what they're comfortable with. There's always that rift between an artist, right? I think country doesn't have that issue as much as possible. Obviously, Billy's a very specific kind of artist, so not to just call her out, but I see that kind of, that kind of runs into each other. I think that, if a brand and artist are able to work on a concept together, and I think that, obviously that's the most ideal scenario there. I think that where a brand can kind of attach in is there are audience engagement mechanisms that you can use. There are experiences in the virtual world that you can't, that an artist may be more comfortable that they might not want to do in person, i.e. like meet and greets, and group chats and stuff like that. So, I think it's getting ahead of it. In a perfect scenario, you do. 70% of the time you don't. You try to jam them in together, and get them to work. But it varies for artist by artist. But it's just the challenge we deal with.
Yeah, and maybe I'll just touch on the flip side, because I think it's important, right? As a brand, I think Sam said it very well, in the sense that you have brands that are trying to keep their brand identity, right? Brands stand for something, and just like a brand stands for something, an artist stands for something. So I think the best relationships or partnerships, if you will, are when they kind of align on what they stand for and want to bring to life. So I think for me, the success, I always look to our partnership. We've done a ton with the Arkells over the years. It's kind of, and it's not one activation, it's time after time. And part of that is because we align so well in what we stand for. And I think one of the best practices from the brand point of view is to actually get the artist in the room. There are so many layers in this business, in this industry, that oftentimes the goals get muddied and get taken different directions. So I would say one simple thing, and especially in the world of Zoom that we're all living in now, face-to-face connection between the people that are doing the creative and the artist is very important. And I find gets you to where you want to go a lot quicker than often going through all the different layers.
100%. That's a great point. We have a question from Emma Lou. Can you give some additional specific examples of combining entertainment with purpose or charity? So I think this one's for Phil.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So right now we're on sale with a bunch of Beyond Van Gogh exhibits. And what we've actually done is bake in charitable ticket donations. It can be super simple, where it's, depending on your level of partnership, we're going to give away 100 tickets to a local charity, to a local school board, to a community in need. Something that you have at your disposal in terms of your assets and your ability to give on behalf of the partner, on behalf of the brand. That can go a really long way to changing someone's complete perception on the world around them. So I think that's absolutely a component. I see within your question, you're also talking about a revenue share or percentage of proceeds. Absolutely, that's great. I personally love any type of initiative where if it's through Ticketmaster, you add on $1 to a certain association or charity. I love the idea of a matching program with the brands that you're working with. But at the end of the day, depending on the level of partnership, I think the most authentic way to create a charitable tie is much like these guys are saying, the organization, the property, and the brand need to find that alignment on what matters to them, find that charity that does that thing the best, and find a very long-lasting foundational partnership where it's not a one-off initiative. It's where it's multiple initiatives donating to that greater cause. Is there an event that it's a charity? Is it the pre-show that is the fundraiser? And it's more of a elongated period versus those one-off experiences. But, not to discount the ticket donation. The one-offs work, the one-offs move the needle, but how can you create that foundational partnership with those authentic ties, just like they're talking about with the artists and the brands? Same goes with a charitable partner. You need to find that right fit and start creating the foundation for that longer term partnership.
Well said. I think we have time for one more question. So I'm going to give you guys one more question. We can just go around the horn on this one. What do you think? I mean, obviously with the pandemic, we're all going to be kind of balancing the perks of a pre-pandemic world and some of the perks that did come out of the pandemic as well. What, in your opinion, and as far as your business goes, what was one of the best changes to come out of the past year?
I'll go first. Zoom and digital meetings and meeting face-to-face with people where you might have just chatted on the phone or went over email without seeing them for months and months and months. It's crazy how quickly you can make a connection through a screen, and then absolutely would love to parlay that into a face-to-face. And if you can meet face-to-face, it's even better. But the opportunity to jump on a video call versus just a call or fire over emails, there is a significant difference there. And I think you can make a connection through a screen. And, you know, I've worked a ton on the road, and pre-pandemic, I didn't use a video call once. So now it's like the norm. And I think that's a really powerful thing for us in business, and we can make those quick connections through a screen.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm going to take a different approach to it. It's because I think Phil is 100% right. It makes our day-to-day business easier. I think from the consumer side I think it reminded everyone how much they missed some of the simple things in life. And some of those simple things are just going out to a bar and having a beer with a friend or a colleague or whatever it is, or the more exciting ones of seeing live entertainment. So I believe that, and we believe that there'll be this euphoria moment when the doors open back up, right? And this idea that people are going to not take for granted the experience. We're already seeing people now, I think in the US, I saw a study, people are spending less money on goods, more money on experiences since some of the vaccines and stuff have happened. So I think that's going to continue. There's going to be this euphoria feeling of people getting out and not taking for granted the simple things that they enjoyed before.
You know, I'm on the same page with Phil and Mike on that. You know, I think, you know, at least what I'm seeing from our clients, you know, they were hurt really bad by the pandemic, especially the touring ones, because obviously there was no income coming in. And, you know, using ways to embrace technology to further engage their audiences outside of live streaming, you know, but understanding the importance of the connection with fans when they can't be there physically. You know, I think they're obviously with, you know, touring hasn't come back yet. We're launching tours now, but like in the fall, there is this sense of excitement. You know, the shows here in the States that are kind of coming off, I mean, people are freaking out, and the artists are, all in a good way. And you can just feel that energy. You know, I'm interested to see if that's kind of a bubble or not, or are we going back into a roaring 20s? I think everyone's all geared up. I think people appreciate what they have more, you know? So we'll see. We'll see what happens with all of that stuff. But I think that the crossover into new tech, I think the utilizing different platforms to connect with audiences is stronger than ever. And I think a lot of artists were more stubborn to use this. I mean, a lot of artists embraced it, don't get me wrong, but a little more stubborn to use this. And they realized the importance, just for their own sanity too. You know, that I think that will only help all of us, you know, especially in the business, and understanding that. So I hope that answers it all right.
Yeah,
well said.
I think we actually do have time for one more, so we're going to squeeze it in. You know, you guys all kind of reflected on that pent up demand for live events right now that we can all feel. How can sponsors and properties take advantage of that?
I think, you know, going back to my presentation and going back to the comment about easing consumers' concerns about the event, now the consumer cycle feels longer. I don't know if you guys agree, but it's like I'm booking things 18 months out and couldn't be more excited about it. So I think, you know, we're, you know, to Sam's point, people are really, really eager to get back and I've heard terms like revenge spend, where it's like, I'm going to go spend so much money on these front row tickets because I've been locked inside for so long. I think the opportunity for brands to engage more actively, more in a more engaging way for a longer period is absolutely a huge opportunity when we're booking things farther in advance, when we're planning things farther in advance, when we're hearing about things, these tours that keep getting re-announced and pushed back, and these events that, are popping up 6, 8, 9, 12 months out. That's the moment of, okay, my anticipation is starting to build. And instead of having one moment where you're hitting them in that anticipation phase, maybe it's 3 or 4. And how are you getting them even more excited for the opportunity? And I think that follow through after the event is going to be longer too. That curve is now, very stretched out, and there's just so much opportunity to build a relationship between the brand and the consumer.
Yeah. For me, just from experience of what we're in the middle of it, right? We're doing it right now. It's less of a time to go hunt new sponsorships. It's a time to activate the sponsors that we've had kind of sitting there waiting to activate. So things like Bud Stage, planning and making that first moment and weekend back at Budweiser Stage an epic experience. So I think we're taking the virtual hat off for a second and figuring out the real back to life, and then to Phil's point is making it feel big, and going beyond the venue and bringing that feeling to life. So I think for us, it's finally we have the opportunity to take the gloves off and activate and bring to life our current partners and go big with them.
Great. I think that is it for questions. Does anyone have any kind of final remarks, last things they want to say, get across?
Thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Of course.
I'm just
Great.
so
Thanks.
excited
Yeah.
to do this in person. This is going to be great, and we're getting close, guys. Hang in there.
100%. Get those revenge spend wallets ready, everyone.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm going to give it back to James, who will just be closing things off for us. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shreya and panelists. That was great. Just a few housekeeping things before the breakout sessions, networking sessions for those who wanted to attend those. We value your input, and we'll be deploying a post-event survey following today's webinar. Please take a few minutes to complete the survey, as your feedback helps shape future events. And better yet, if you complete the survey, you'll be entered into a draw for a $100 gift card from one of our foundational partners, Canadian Tire. Thank you, Canadian Tire. We would like to thank all of our foundational partners. Without their support from these organizations, we would not be possible. We would not be able to put on these webinars and provide services and support to sponsorship professionals across the country. And lastly, we just want to thank you for attending today's event about live entertainment. As I said, if you're registered on the networking session, it's from 1 to 1:30. There will be a link to join in the YouTube chat and in the email that you received. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending, and have a great day, and we'll see you soon.